I am holding in my hand the Muslim Brotherhood plan for the destruction of the United States. The title of the plan is مذكرة تفسيرية للهدف الاستراتيجي العام للجماعة في أمريكا الشمالية. You all got that? An explanatory memorandum for the general strategic goal for the group, the Muslim Brotherhood in North America, written 5/22/1991. Understanding the role of the Muslim Brother in North America. The process of settlement is a civilization jihadist process with all the word means. The Ikhwan, which is the Arabic word for brothers, must understand that their work in America is a kind of grand jihad in eliminating and destroying the Western civilization from within and sabotaging its miserable house by their hands and the hands of the believers so that it is eliminated and Allah's religion is made victorious over all other religions. They don't mince words, do they? But the most important page of this document is the last page. They list 29 front Islamic organizations set up in the United States with the specific goal of sabotaging America from within and destroying America by our own hands. Number 1 on the list is ISNA, Islamic Society of North America. They are now advisors to President Obama about Middle East policy. So we not only have the fox watching the hen house, we have the fox inside the White House dictating policy in the ear of the president. As a matter of fact, we in the United States have 150 terrorist organizations right now operating in America, and these are the ones we know about.
Now what happened? The Eastern European Jews, who form 92% of the world population of those people who call themselves Jews, were originally Khazars. They were a warlike tribe that lived deep in the heart of Asia. And they were so warlike that even the Asiatics drove them out of Asia into Eastern Europe. And to reduce this so you don't get too confused about the history of Eastern Europe, they set up this big Khazar kingdom, 800,000 square miles. Only there was no Russia, there were no other countries, and the Khazar kingdom was the biggest country in all Europe. So big and so powerful that when the other monarchs wanted to go to war, the Khazars would loan them 40,000 soldiers. That's how big and powerful they were. Now, they were phallic worshippers. Which is filthy. I don't want to go into the details of that now. It was their religion, the way it was the religion of many other pagans or barbarians elsewhere in the world. Now the king became so disgusted with the degeneracy of his kingdom that he decided to adopt a so-called monotheistic faith, either Christianity, Islam, the Muslim faith, or what is known today as Judaism, really Talmudism. So, like spinning a top, he said, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and he picked out so-called Judaism. And that became the state religion, and he sent down to the Talmudic schools of Talavisa and Surah, and brought up thousands of these rabbis with their teachings, and he opened up synagogues and schools in his kingdom of 800,000 people, 800,000 square miles, and maybe 10 to 20 million people, and they became what we call Jews. There wasn't one of them that ever had an ancestor that ever put a toe in the Holy Land, not alone in Old Testament history, but back to time, the beginning of time.
Remember, I originally left Brown University in 1940 to go fight Hitler because they told me that he was out to conquer the world and we had to save Poland and Czechoslovakia and so forth. So what I did was I went out and I helped to murder millions of my fellow white Christian, anti-communist, racist German brothers in order to help save a criminal gang of atheist, murdering, anti-Christian, communist Bolshevik race mixers who now boast that they will bury us and who are doing it. I might ask you, who has Poland now? the Poland that I went to save, and who has Hungary, Czechoslovakia, Romania, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, East Germany, Albania, Yugoslavia, China, North Korea, and now even Cuba, 90 miles away from our own coast. Actually, we got into World War II because Franklin D. Roosevelt pushed us into it with a phony, planned attack and the murder of over 3,000 American boys at Pearl Harbor in order to help save Russia. The evidence for that Pearl Harbor disaster is now all in and has been written by American admirals with an advance, or rather a forward, by Admiral Nimitz himself. There's no question about it. We were pushed into World War II in order to stop Hitler's anti-communist, pro-racist war against Russia. If we hadn't been pushed into that war, there would now be no Cold War, there would be no arms race, there would be no communist colossus, there'd be no communist riots in the Congress or any place else. We would not be facing the prospect that the so-called conservatives are always putting out. I'd rather be dead than red, and we'd have to decide between being dead and red because there would be no reds. There would be nothing but dead reds. Hitler completely wiped communism out of Germany. He put all the communists in the concentration camps. That was the end of them. Finally, I found out that the same gang that pushed us into war with Russia is the same gang that is now preaching peace and coexistence right now to us. And in fact, they invite Khrushchev to the White House. It's the same gang that smeared and destroyed and lied about Father Coughlin. They lied about Henry Ford and smeared him. They lied about and smeared Congressman Rankin, Martin Dies, the great Senator McCarthy. They lied about Douglas MacArthur, and they put him in the ash can of history. They got him fired. And now even General Walker and even Robert Welch, who has done very little, really, compared to some of these other men, even these people are lied about in exactly the same way as they lie about Adolf Hitler. And me. Anybody, in fact, who fights communism and race mixing and actually hurts the enemy is called a Nazi and a fascist. All you have to do is look through a few years' copies of the Communist Worker newspaper. You must remember, I originally left Brown University in 1940 to go fight Hitler.
Everything is staged. Look at the Iranian parliament and compare it to the 2025 Oscars stage. We see the same Masonic symbolism. Movies are scripted, but so is politics. You see actors on stage, but who's writing the script?
I am not the Tucker Carlson expert on Iran.
You're a senator who's calling for the overthrow of the government.
You're the one who claims
about the country.
Albert Pike, a 33rd degree Freemason, predicted it back in 1871. The Third World War will be triggered so that Islam and Israel destroy each other. A planned war designed to exhaust nations and impose a global Luciferian religion. This chaos was encoded long ago. The number 33 and the pyramid are the signatures of Freemasonry. Even George Washington was a member, but at the top, it's not God you find, it's Baphomet. The House of the Temple in Washington has 33 columns, each 33 feet tall, with a pyramid and a double-headed eagle, the same eagle used by the Russian Empire. Yet they make you believe they're on opposing sides. The Israeli Supreme Court, again, a pyramid donated by the Rothschilds. And once more, the Iranian Parliament, a pyramid with 33 windows. Coincidence? I don't think so. After all, who owns the world? BlackRock, the Black Cube, just like the Islamic Kaaba, Jewish Kabbalah, or Trump Tower. All aligned around the same symbol. And what do you find at the center of a Masonic lodge? A black cube, the cube of Saturn. A master mason knows the script, the others just follow it, and as long as you pick a side, you're doing exactly what they want you to do. You become a willing extra in their movie.
Albert Pike said this about Freemasonry in this very book. He says that Freemasonry is based almost totally on the Kabbalah.
Yes.
Jewish magic.
Yes.
And many Jewish rabbis have admitted this, and they say that in all of the rituals of Freemasonry, you will find the Kabbalah, the system of magic of the Jews. For example, the 30th degree of Freemasonry is the Knights of Kadosh.
Yes.
And it involves skulls and black robes and a knight laying in a coffin speaking from the dead.
Yes.
And all of this turning to the god of the underworld, the gods of the underworld, is all related to Jewish Kabbalah because they believe in necromancy, communication with the dead. And they believe that in the last days, a Kabbalistic master will come upon the earth, and there will be a Jewish utopia a new world order of the Jews, but they must go along with what are called the Noahide laws and be good Gentiles and go along with Kabbalah. And if they recognize that the Holy Spirit is the serpent. And by the way, that's also taught in the 32nd degree of Freemasonry, the serpent is the Holy Spirit. Right. And he is going to insert.
First off, we didn't win the war with Germany. Mm-hmm. We actually negotiated a peace treaty. Hitler and his generals and the gold, everything was exfiltrated. A lot of it went to Argentina. They got portions of the United States, but they also got the CIA and the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, which is a military intelligence agency, not a space agency, as some people think. And they got into mind control in a very big way. And so in combination, mind control, both through sodomy and breaking the mind, fracturing the mind. And I mean, their whole objective initially was to create people, like they could take anybody from the audience, turn them into an assassin. Yeah. They would go assassinate someone, never remember anything, and leave no trace. That's right. Okay. But then it expanded into controlling judges and prosecutors, and then they got into child trafficking and pedophilia blackmail. What I find is that most religions, particularly the Catholic and Mormon religions, are child trafficking. And they're doing some great evil. So we need to cleanse that. I think most religions are dogmatic. Mm-hmm. They're institutionalized theft. They're focused on building wealth for the institution, not actually doing charity. Any religion that siphons money to Rome is corrupt. I want to point out to people that Epstein is just one of 50 Mossad cells across this country. There's one in every state. And across every single state, we have governors and legislators who have been entrapped in pedophilia. They are on video doing bad things to small children. That's how the Zionists got 27 states to make it a felony to call for a boycott of Israel. We have a fraudulent form of capitalism, which is basically a Ponzi scheme that is built on unlimited printing of money and absolute fabrication of wealth by the Rothschilds and others. And in fact, the SWIFT system transfers fraud because the Rothschilds can pretend to have $3 billion in Austria and have it wired to a bank in New York, which accepts it as if it were real. They don't actually look to see if that $3 billion is backed up by anything. And then the Rothschilds will use that $3 billion in fake money to buy real estate and other assets, including gold. Multiple government agencies have offshore illegal accounts, starting with the CIA and Treasury. These are rooted in gold that we captured from the Japanese.
These Illuminati refer to their offspring in their publications as their children, their offspring. They refer to your offspring as kids. You have kids because you're just like a goat. Sheeple. You're sheeple.
We're being led like sheep to the slaughter. I don't know if you've ever seen sheep go to the slaughter, but they are generally led by a Judas goat. The Judas goat will bring them all the way up the ramp, and right before they drop the trap on the sheep, the Judas goat steps to the side.
When you understand that Europe dominated the world for almost 1,600 years, and the Vatican dominated Europe. The Vatican dominated the old world order. Those banking families that were the Roman Catholic banking families of Europe were the powers of the world. They dominated the world. With the coming of America, America becomes known as the New World. Remember Columbus discovering the New World. When we hear the word New World Order, we're talking about a fraternal order of power, religion, money, operating out of the New World, America.
But a satanic, occultic, evil form of power.
The big picture, they want it all. They want to enslave your child, your wife, your mother. There isn't anything that you ever had. There isn't anything that you own. There isn't any right that you possess that they're not planning on taking away.